If you want to know what's trending or you miss your favorite live shows, you can watch it all on our YouTube channel. Simply log on to www.youtube.com/channelsweb, scroll down to your favorite program and click play. You can also view all uploaded videos by clicking on View All. Don't forget to subscribe and get the latest videos. If they are interesting, like them and be heard. Get connected with the channel's television YouTube page. The news at your fingertips.
Welcome back to Sunrise Daily. Well, now we'll continue our focus on the $9.3 million. Some of the papers refer to it as cash for arms deal. Well, a lot of commentary. Well, yesterday we did host two members of the House of Representatives who gave us their view on the matter. Well, this morning we're joined by Mr. Mask Manite, who is a strategic security consultant. Thank you for coming on this morning.
Thank you for having me.
Well, this $9.3 million, some people say, look, we're just trying to hide what is not, and something they suspect laundering, others think, look, what really is going on? Well, you've been following this for some time now. What's your perspective on what this is about?
Look, when I read about the incident, the first thing that came to mind is that if this were to be a black operation, then it was done in a very shoddy manner. But when black operations take effect, there is a planning stage and there is an operational stage. And those that planned it may not have envisaged it to go this awry. Therefore, it was really a very shoddy deal. Having said that, I went into research. Our center looked into the preambles and asked questions. Why did we need to do a black operation? Then certain things begin to play itself out. But before illuminating that, it is important now to say that the government rose to its responsibilities by acknowledging that the money belongs to federal government. So at least there is no case of denial here. The government is beginning to take the right steps in being upfront. What could have predicated this situation? The newspapers have told us that attempts to bring in the required hardware to tackle the insurgency in the Northeast have been really frustrated, especially with our supposed allies, the United States. Nigeria needed Chinook helicopters. There are other equipments that America have given. There are other areas of cooperation. But there are certain critical areas that are required, that are being frustrated. Why the frustration? America is a nation that is guided by rule of law. So are we. Going back to the 1997, 1998, I was in the forefront telling people like Bola Tinubu, the Nadekos, that don't ask for sanctions against Nigeria. I live in the United States. When you embed sanctions, it is very difficult to remove that sanction. So what happened? Patrick Leahy law was put in place that banned the sales of weapons or tactical hardwares to Nigeria. We transmitted into democracy. Abdul Salam regime, Olusegun Obasanjo regime, Yar'Adua regime, they failed in, while establishing the bilateral relationship with America, to interrogate that particular sanction and ask that it be removed. That didn't happen. So we can blame America for not cooperating. We are correct. But the desperation in trying to get results in the Northeast enabled what happened to happen. Where I think we may have got it wrong is that in the process of choosing the aircraft, proper interrogation of ownership should have been done. to really prevent the issue where a religious body such as CAN is being put in the forefront. And the Catholic bishops are quite correct in saying that we must be able to let the nation know that there is no attempt to procure arms by the Christian entity to prosecute a war against the Muslims. But this is the game changer here. If certain international bodies that have agreed to collaborate with you on the fight against insurgency refuses to provide you with critical satellite imagery information, there is always a possibility that when they heard that you are attempting a black operation, they used their powers to get South Africa to sabotage you. So South Africa may have been a participant in sabotaging Nigerian efforts. We must not rule that out.
You know, speaking about arms procurement into the country, when one listens or reads some of the articles or follow the story about this particular case, you may just come up with the impression that it's very difficult for arms to come into this country. But if you take your mind back to a year, 2 years ago, maybe 3 years ago, you remember that even when the late NSA, at that time, there were several loads of arms and ammunition that were caught, intercepted at our borders. Some people wonder, how come, in whose custody is that? Then there was that aircraft that was loaded with arms and ammunition. It landed in this country and people wonder who owns it, in whose custody it is. And then you find the one that was discovered by the SSS in, was it somewhere in Kano? And then you ask yourself, wait a minute, how come? Then you see the reports of the ones, the truckload that was intercepted in Port Harcourt. You ask yourself, what's going on with all of those? And so you have all of this coming into this country. But we're faced with this particular situation. Something doesn't add up here.
Your postulations are recorded, really, but those arms in question, bearing the explosives that came in from Iran, are really lightweight arms. They are not heavy arms. The arms that were intercepted in Kano was designated to go to a foreign nation. And the fact that it was cleared by Nigerian security, it was allowed to continue. What we did then was to appreciate our security for being vigilant enough to intercept it. Then the one in truckloads are the arms that politicians bring in because it's election time. The history of this goes down to the 1999 era. Immediately elections were held. Politicians who want to hold on to power allowed weapons to come into the Niger Delta, and those weapons were used heavily in the Niger Delta militant era. And when they were demobilized and disarmed and reintegrated, those arms were taken back by the government for destruction, and majority of them have been destroyed. Nigeria is on record for having porous borders. We are on record for having certain unrestricted areas in our nation. So you must expect lightweight arms to come into the nation. But the point I'm trying to make is that the timing of the